So today, we're going to break down one of the most calculated blindsides of the season. Seriously, this thing was a masterclass in deception. We're going to look at how the game's biggest mastermind was taken down by the very people he trusted the most.
You know, it's pretty much the oldest rule in this game, right? Trust and betrayal. They're basically two sides of the same coin. And your closest allies, well, they can easily become your biggest threats. Today, we get to see what happens when a few players decide it's finally time to show their teeth.
Every great plan really just starts with an opportunity. And for the schemers in the story, that opportunity came from one single pivotal moment that just completely changed the entire dynamic of the game.
And this is the central question, isn't it? Gabriel had been running the show. I mean, this guy was a strategic powerhouse who seemed absolutely untouchable. But then Noam wins the immunity challenge, and suddenly, for the first time, Gabriel is exposed. And in a game like this, any little sign of vulnerability, well, that's like an invitation for an attack.
That one immunity win, that was it. That was the crack in the armor. It meant Gabriel was finally a real, viable target. And for a few players who were kind of waiting in the shadows, this wasn't just a random possibility. No, this was the moment they had been waiting for.
So while Gabriel is feeling all safe and secure with his alliances, a secret little subgroup saw their chance. And they started to mobilize, quietly setting the stage for what would be a truly spectacular betrayal. So let's meet the Tigers of Matan. With Noam safe with the immunity necklace, he, Yehuda, and Anna looked at each other and realized, hey, we have the numbers to make a move. This trio decided that Gabriel's reign over the game was over, and they were going to be the ones to end it.
Now, to pull something like this off, it had to be a perfect blindside. And the key here, as you know, is absolute secrecy. I mean, if the target gets even the slightest whiff of what's coming, they could play an idol, they could rally their own people, and the whole plan just blows up. Everything, and I mean everything, depends on deception. And they knew exactly who they were up against. Yehuda's words here just perfectly capture why their plan had to be flawless. Gabriel's strategic mind was his greatest weapon, so they couldn't afford a single slip-up. They had to outwit the master manipulator himself.
And their plan was so brilliantly simple. First step, create a decoy. Keep everybody's focus on the easy target, Gal. Step 2, and this is the most important part, act completely normal around Gabriel. They had to stay his closest allies right up until the very end. And step 3, when the time came, they would strike together.
Okay, so this is where the Oscar-worthy performances really began. With the plan locked in, the Tigers had to do the really hard part. Lulled their target into a totally false sense of security.
I mean, to his face, they were his loyal soldiers. They spent their days talking about future moves, reassuring him that the alliance was rock solid and that Gal was definitely the target. And all the while, they were just counting down the hours until they could write his name down.
Just listen to how confident Gabriel was. Here he is literally mapping out his path to the end with Anna, one of the very people plotting to get rid of him. He's talking about final 3 deals, totally clueless that his game is about to come to a screeching halt.
And the contrast is just brutal. While Gabriel is planning his victory tour, Noam is in a confessional basically saying goodbye. He even calls Gabriel a brother, which just makes the cold-blooded strategic decision to cut him that much more ruthless.
So while this amazing deception is going on, there's one person who actually sees the truth. Gal, the decoy target. He knows his only shot is to expose the real threat. So he goes to Yehuda first, suggesting they blindside Gabriel. But Yehuda, sticking to the plan, just shuts him right down.
But he doesn't give up. His next stop is Latem. He tries to convince her that she's on the bottom of her alliance and that she needs to make a big move. But she dismisses him too, still buying into the group's solidarity. Man, Gal is just running out of options fast.
His last hope is Anna. He pleads his case, but of course, she's one of the main plotters. She not only rejects his plan, but gets frustrated with him for even suggesting it. And that's it. Gamal is completely stonewalled. The deception is holding strong, and he is totally, completely alone.
And so, we arrive at the moment of truth. All the whispering, all the lies, all the secret plans, it all comes down to tribal council, where the votes are final and the deception is about to be revealed.
You honestly can't write irony better than this. Right before the votes are read, Gabriel jokingly turns to his brother, Noam, and asks if he voted him out. He is so comfortable, so completely unaware, that he can literally make a joke about the very thing that is about to happen to him.
And then the votes start coming in. 2 for Gale. Okay, that was expected. 1 for Lodom, and then, one after another, 3 votes for Gabriel. The plan worked. The Tigers held their ground.
And there it is. It's official. The mastermind is outsmarted. Gabriel, the player who thought he had the entire game locked down, is voted out, completely stunned by the people he trusted the most. Just a perfect blindside.
But hey, getting rid of the king doesn't mean the war is over, right? The ripple effects of this move are felt immediately, both by the people left in the game and by those on the jury who will ultimately decide the winner.
And the reaction is just split right down the middle. On one side, you have the jury, and they are erupting. They're ecstatic that someone finally made a huge game-changing move. But on the other side, you have a totally shocked Gabriel arriving at the jury villa as the reality of his betrayal finally sinks in. He's just realized his closest allies were playing an entirely different game all along.
And this leaves us with the ultimate question. The Tigers pulled off an absolutely incredible move, but was it the right one? I mean, in voting out Gabriel, they proved they could play the game hard, but they also sent a very powerful and now very angry player to the jury. So we're left to wonder, was this masterful blindside a $1 million move, or was it a fatal mistake that's going to come back to haunt them?
Okay, so Gabriel's gone, and back at camp, it is pure chaos. You've got this new power trio, that's Anna, Noam, and Yehuda, and for them, it's a party. But for everyone else, oh man, it is a mad scramble. They're trying to figure out what on earth just happened, and more importantly, where they fit in this new world. You can see the new lines in the sand being drawn, like, right away. You've got Gal, who was absolutely convinced he was a goner, and now he's just buzzing with the second chance. Then on the flip side, you have Lodom, who is just completely gutted. Her #1 ally is gone. And of course, the architects of this whole thing, Yehuda, Anna, and Noam, they're just soaking it all in, enjoying their big win. And Lodom really hits the nail on the head with the strategic fear here. You know, she's not just sad that her friend is gone. She's a gamer. She gets it. She realizes that by taking out their own leader, they might have just blown the door wide open for Gal, the last true underdog, to sneak his way to the end. It's a perfect example of a huge move having these massive unforeseen consequences. So what happens now? The old power structure is just shattered. Everyone is scrambling. You've got new deals being made all over the place. But you know how this game works. A promise is only good until a better one walks by, right? And Yehuda's gameplay is the perfect example of this paranoia. First, he pulls this heartbroken Lodom aside and is like, "Don't worry, if I win immunity, I'm taking you to the end," swears on it. But then, what feels like seconds later, he's huddled up with Noam saying, "Hey, if Gal wins immunity, Lodom's toast. Easy vote." He is playing both sides so hard, just trying to make sure he's safe no matter which way the wind blows. Honestly, this meme just nails it. Yehuda, the wolf in sheep's clothing. He's putting on this whole act of being the loyal, dependable ally, but behind the scenes, he's ready to cut anyone who gets in his way. It's a super risky way to play for sure, but hey, it could be the thing that wins him the whole game. Okay, so all of this chaos leads us right to the final 5 immunity challenge. And let me tell you, the stakes are just insanely high. For this new dominant alliance, a win here basically punches their ticket to the end. But for Gal, the last real outsider left in this game, this is everything. It's do or die, his one and only chance to stay alive. And this wasn't your typical stand on a block for hours challenge. No, this was a total mental marathon. The players had to work their way through 4 really complex escape room type puzzles. They had the option to get hints, but there was a catch. Each hint added a time penalty. So first one to crack all 4 puzzles wins immunity, and a spot in the final 4 is theirs. So the results. Wow, it was an absolute blowout. I mean, just look at these times. Noam didn't just win, he absolutely destroyed this challenge. He finished in just over 32 minutes. And get this, without using a single hint. The next person, Anna, took over 2 hours. This wasn't just a win. This was a massive statement to every single person on that jury. And Noam's reaction really tells you everything you need to know. He spent this entire game playing it cool, kind of hiding in the weeds, downplaying how big of a threat he is. Well, that's over. He's done hiding. He knows that if he wants to win, he needs a killer resume for that jury. And a performance like that is a huge, flashy move to put on it. So Noam has the immunity necklace, which means Gal knows he's in deep, deep trouble. His back is completely against the wall. The four-person alliance has an easy, simple vote right in front of them. But Gaul is not the type to just roll over. He's not going down without a fight, and he comes up with one last, really logical pitch to try and save himself. So what does he do? He goes straight to the guy with all the power, Noam. And his pitch is actually pretty compelling. He basically says, look, you know Anna and Yehuda are a super tight pair. Why not make a huge power move right now? Take one of them out, you break up a dangerous duo, and you show that jury you were playing to win, not just coasting. And then he takes it to tribal council, in front of everyone, especially the jury. He just puts it all out on the table. He doesn't say any names, but he exposes the entire dynamic of that final group. He calls out that there are two players who are so loyal to a third player that they would rather go to the end and lose to him than make a move for themselves. It's this huge, public, last-ditch Hail Mary to just blow everything up. So that's it. The cards are on the table. Every argument has been made. The whole strategic game has been laid bare for the jury to see. There is literally nothing left to do but head to the voting booth. But wait, there's one last twist. Just as the votes are about to be read, Anna stands up, and she plays her hidden immunity idol on herself. She is not taking any chances. She correctly figured that Gal's only shot was to throw a vote at her or Yehuda, a really smart, solid play to guarantee her safety. And yep, her read was 100% correct. The first vote comes up, it's for Anna. From Gal, of course, but because of that idol, that vote is completely useless. It doesn't count. All right, here we go. The next vote, Gal. Third vote, Gal. The fourth vote, Gal. And that's it. It's a clean sweep. The alliance didn't crack, they held strong, and just like that, the last outsider's game is over. And in his farewell message, Gal is just so self-aware. He's like, yeah, it sucks that I played the exact opposite game I wanted to play, basically living on the bottom the whole time. But then he says, maybe that just made this experience more interesting. It's a really thoughtful way to wrap up a journey that was all about just hanging on and never giving up. But just because he's out doesn't mean the game stops. Oh no. Over at the jury villa, the next phase of the battle is already heating up. You have Gavriel, who is still salty about his blindside, and he is actively trying to poison the jury against Noam. But then Gal shows up, and right away, he starts defending Noam's game. He's telling everyone that Noam was the one actually in the driver's seat while other people were just along for the ride. And that all leads us to the one big burning question. The dominant alliance made it. The four of them are all that's left. They systematically took out every single person who wasn't with them. But now, there's nowhere left to hide. They have to face each other. So the question is, will they finally turn on each other?